William Grenville 1806–1807. William Grenville, born in 1759, was a prominent figure in British politics during the late 18th and early 19th centuries. Descended from a distinguished political family, Grenville entered the political arena at a young age, following in the footsteps of his father, George Grenville. His early career was marked by his service in various government positions, where he showcased his keen intellect and political acumen. Grenville's rise through the political ranks was notable, and by the time he assumed the role of Prime Minister in 1806, he had already held significant offices, including First Lord of the Admiralty and Foreign Secretary. Known for his commitment to public service and diplomatic skill, Grenville was a central figure in the Whig political faction, contributing to the shaping of British policies during a crucial period in the nation's history. Grenville's tenure as Prime Minister from 1806 to 1807 occurred at a pivotal juncture in British history. The political landscape was tumultuous, both domestically and internationally. His leadership during this critical period played a vital role in shaping the trajectory of the nation. Grenville's premiership witnessed the unfolding of significant events that had lasting implications for British society, politics, and global affairs. During his short-lived term, Grenville faced unprecedented challenges, navigating issues ranging from domestic reforms to complex foreign relations. His policies and decisions during this period left an indelible mark on the course of British history, making his prime ministership a subject of historical interest and analysis. William Grenville's early life laid the foundation for a career marked by political prowess and public service. Born on October 25, 1759, into the prestigious Grenville family, his father, George Grenville, was a prominent political figure who had served as Prime Minister. Growing up in an environment steeped in politics, young William was exposed to the complexities of governance from an early age. Educated at Eton College and later at Christ Church, Oxford, Grenville displayed exceptional academic aptitude and a keen interest in political philosophy. These formative years contributed to the development of his intellectual capacities and provided him with the knowledge base necessary for a career in public service. Grenville's political upbringing was further shaped by familial influences and interactions with renowned figures of the time. Engaging in political discourse within the family circle, he imbibed the principles of governance, law, and diplomacy. These early experiences laid the groundwork for Grenville's eventual entry into the political arena. Grenville's ascent through the ranks of British politics was marked by a series of notable government roles and experiences. His initiation into public service began in 1782 when he was elected as Member of Parliament for Buckingham. Subsequently, he held positions such as a Lord of the Admiralty and a Junior Lord of the Treasury, gaining valuable insights into the functioning of the government. However, it was in 1789 that Grenville assumed a role that would significantly shape his political trajectory: First Lord of the Admiralty. In this capacity, he demonstrated administrative competence and a commitment to strengthening the British Navy. His tenure witnessed crucial developments, including the expansion of naval power and reforms in naval administration, positioning him as a key figure in national defense. Grenville's political acumen and dedication to public service did not go unnoticed. His reputation as a skilled diplomat led to his appointment as Foreign Secretary in 1791, where he navigated the complexities of European relations during a period marked by the French Revolution and the Napoleonic Wars. These experiences, coupled with his family's political legacy, prepared Grenville for the pinnacle of his political career, the premiership. By the time he assumed the role of Prime Minister in 1806, Grenville had accumulated a wealth of experience in various government positions, providing him with the expertise needed to address the challenges that awaited him on the national and international stage. In 1806, when William Grenville assumed the role of Prime Minister, Britain found itself at a critical juncture both domestically and internationally. The political landscape was characterized by a delicate balance of power, and the nation was grappling with a series of challenges that demanded astute leadership. Grenville's appointment came in the wake of political instability and shifts in public sentiment, setting the stage for a transformative period in British history. Domestically, issues such as social reform, economic concerns, and the question of parliamentary representation were pressing matters. The Industrial Revolution was reshaping the economic fabric of the nation, leading to increased demands for workers' rights and labor reforms. Additionally, There was a growing call for political reforms, including the expansion of suffrage and the restructuring of electoral constituencies. Internationally, Britain was entangled in the complex web of European politics, particularly due to the ongoing Napoleonic Wars. The ever-shifting alliances and the threat posed by Napoleon Bonaparte's expansionist ambitions added a layer of complexity to Britain's foreign relations. Navigating these challenges required a leader with a nuanced understanding of both domestic and international affairs. The political arena in Britain during Grenville's premiership was marked by the presence of influential figures and distinct factions. Within the government and parliament, key players included seasoned politicians, military leaders, and advocates of various political ideologies. Grenville himself belonged to the Whig political faction, which was characterized by its support for constitutional monarchy, parliamentary reform, and a commitment to social justice. However, within the Whigs, there were internal divisions and differing opinions on key issues. Opposing the Whigs were the Tories, who generally held more conservative views and were traditional supporters of the monarchy. The political landscape was further complicated by individuals who did not strictly adhere to either party, leading to a dynamic and sometimes unpredictable parliamentary environment. As Grenville took office in 1806, he faced a set of formidable challenges that tested his leadership skills and political acumen. The domestic landscape demanded attention to issues of social reform and economic transformation, with the need to address the grievances arising from the rapid industrialization of the nation. Moreover, the international stage presented challenges of a different nature. Britain was engaged in the Napoleonic Wars, and the threat from Napoleon's forces loomed large. Balancing military priorities with the economic well-being of the nation posed a delicate challenge for Grenville. The need for diplomatic finesse in navigating alliances and maintaining Britain's standing in the global arena added another layer of complexity to his responsibilities. Within Parliament, Grenville had to contend with a diverse array of political ideologies and conflicting interests. The push for parliamentary reform and the debates over key legislative initiatives required adept negotiation and consensus-building skills. The ability to navigate these intricate political waters was crucial for Grenville's success as a leader during this tumultuous period. In essence, Grenville faced a multifaceted set of challenges that demanded a comprehensive and strategic approach to governance. His success in addressing these issues would ultimately shape his legacy as Prime Minister and contribute to the broader historical narrative of early 19th century Britain. Social and economic reforms. Upon assuming the role of Prime Minister, William Grenville demonstrated a commitment to addressing the pressing social and economic challenges facing Britain. Recognizing the impact of the Industrial Revolution on society, Grenville's government took steps towards initiating social and economic reforms. Efforts were made to improve working conditions and labor rights, responding to the growing demands for better treatment of workers in the rapidly industrializing nation. Grenville also recognized the need for economic stability and implemented measures to bolster the economy. This included initiatives aimed at promoting trade, supporting emerging industries, and addressing issues related to taxation and public finance. The goal was to create a more equitable and sustainable economic foundation for the nation, considering the transformative changes brought about by industrialization. Legislative initiatives and acts during his premiership. Grenville's premiership was marked by several legislative initiatives and acts that sought to address key issues facing Britain. One of the landmark achievements during his tenure was the passage of the Slave Trade Act of 1807. This historic legislation, driven by the moral and humanitarian concerns of the time, marked a significant step towards the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade. The act made the slave trade illegal in British ships, signaling a pivotal moment in the broader movement towards the abolition of slavery. Relations with other European powers. Grenville's foreign policies were largely shaped by the ongoing Napoleonic Wars and the complex diplomatic landscape of early 19th century Europe. As Prime Minister, he faced the challenge of maintaining a delicate balance between protecting Britain's interests and navigating the ever-shifting alliances on the continent. Grenville's government sought to strengthen alliances with other European powers opposed to Napoleon, notably forming coalitions to resist French expansion. However, diplomatic maneuvering was challenging, given the volatile nature of European politics at the time. The changing dynamics of alliances and the need to adapt to the unfolding events in Europe required a nimble and strategic approach to foreign relations. Key international events during his tenure. One of the significant international events during Grenville's tenure was the British involvement in the Peninsular War, a part of the broader Napoleonic Wars. The conflict saw Britain supporting the Spanish and Portuguese in their resistance against the French invasion led by Napoleon. The Peninsular War had far-reaching consequences for the balance of power in Europe and showcased Grenville's commitment to resisting French hegemony. Furthermore, the Chesapeake Leopard affair in 1807 strained relations between the United States and Britain. The incident, involving the impressment of American sailors by the British Navy, heightened tensions and contributed to the broader issues that would later lead to the War of 1812 between the two nations. In analyzing Grenville's foreign policies, it is essential to consider the dynamic and challenging context of early 19th century European politics. His approach to diplomacy and military engagements reflected the complexity of navigating a world at war and the strategic considerations that shaped Britain's role on the global stage during this tumultuous period. William Grenville played a pivotal role in the historic movement to abolish the transatlantic slave trade. As Prime Minister from 1806 to 1807, Grenville was at the forefront of the political efforts to address the moral and humanitarian concerns surrounding the slave trade. His commitment to social justice and the principles of the Enlightenment fueled his involvement in the abolitionist cause. Grenville was influenced by the growing abolitionist sentiment in British society, where individuals and groups, such as the Society for Effecting the Abolition of the Slave Trade, had been advocating for an end to the inhumane practice for years. Grenville's personal convictions aligned with the moral imperatives of the abolitionist movement, leading him to champion the cause within the political sphere. Recognizing the moral and ethical implications of the slave trade, Grenville mobilized political support to push for legislative action. His leadership was instrumental in bringing together like-minded individuals in Parliament to build a coalition that could drive the abolitionist agenda forward. The culmination of Grenville's efforts was the passage of the Slave Trade Act of 1807. This landmark legislation made the slave trade illegal in British ships, marking a significant step towards the broader goal of abolishing slavery itself. The act was a testament to the moral awakening of British society and reflected a growing consensus that the transatlantic slave trade was incompatible with the principles of justice and human rights. The Slave Trade Act of 1807 included provisions for the suppression of the slave trade by British subjects and the prevention of the transportation of slaves across the Atlantic. It was a comprehensive piece of legislation that represented a turning point in the fight against the brutal and dehumanizing practices associated with the slave trade. The implications of the act were profound. While it did not immediately eradicate slavery, it set the stage for future abolitionist movements and legislation. The act demonstrated the power of legislation in shaping societal norms and challenging entrenched economic interests tied to the slave trade. The passage of the Slave Trade Act of 1807 elicited varied reactions from the British public. Abolitionists celebrated the legislative victory as a triumph for morality and human rights. The act reflected a broader cultural shift towards the rejection of the institution of slavery, and it became a symbol of Britain's commitment to humanitarian values. However, it is important to note that the act did not entirely eliminate the slave trade. Illicit trading continued, and the full abolition of slavery itself would take several more decades. Nevertheless, the act laid the groundwork for subsequent legislative measures, such as the Slavery Abolition Act of 1833, which ultimately led to the emancipation of slaves in the British Empire. Historically, the Slave Trade Act of 1807 is considered a watershed moment in the global movement against the transatlantic slave trade. It positioned Britain as a leader in the international effort to eradicate this abhorrent practice and set a precedent for other nations to follow suit. Grenville's role in championing this cause marked a highlight in his political legacy, illustrating the potential of political leadership to drive positive societal change. The act remains a critical chapter in the broader narrative of the abolitionist movement and the fight for human dignity and equality. The resignation of William Grenville in 1807 marked the end of his relatively short-lived tenure as Prime Minister. Several factors contributed to his departure from office, revealing the complex challenges and political dynamics of the time. One significant factor was the internal discord within the Whig Party. Grenville faced challenges in maintaining unity and cohesion among the various factions within his government. Disagreements over key policy issues, including Catholic emancipation, created rifts that weakened his leadership. The issue of Catholic emancipation, which sought to grant political rights to Catholics, was a divisive one, with conflicting views among Grenville's cabinet members. Additionally, external pressures played a role in Grenville's resignation. King George III, who was opposed to Catholic emancipation, exerted influence on political matters, and the lack of royal support for Grenville's policies further strained the government. The king's resistance to certain reforms and his interference in political affairs added an additional layer of complexity to Grenville's challenges. In hindsight, Grenville's fall from power serves as a reminder of the complexities inherent in political leadership, where internal divisions, external pressures, and opposition dynamics can converge to shape the fate of a government. While he faced criticism and challenges during his time in office, the legacies of Grenville's policies endured, leaving an indelible mark on the historical tapestry of early 19th century Britain. William Grenville's contribution to British politics was multifaceted and left a lasting imprint on the nation's political landscape. His leadership during a critical period showcased a commitment to social justice, moral principles, and diplomatic finesse. Grenville's role in the abolition movement, particularly the passage of the Slave Trade Act, demonstrated his ability to address pressing moral issues and lead the charge for significant societal change. While his tenure faced internal and external challenges, Grenville's efforts in promoting reforms and navigating the complexities of international relations reflected a dedication to the principles of liberalism and progress. His role in key legislative initiatives and his diplomatic strategies added depth to the evolving narrative of British governance. In conclusion, William Grenville's legacy is one of principled leadership, marked by significant achievements in social reform, foreign policy, and the advancement of human rights. His impact on British politics extended beyond his time in office, leaving an enduring legacy that resonates in the ongoing narrative of the nation's history. Thank you for watching this video. If you found it informative, please like, comment, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the future.